Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I am so glad to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, and that's resume writing. I love resumes. I think they're fun. That's one reason why one of my other hats I wear in life is a career coach. So I work with young people and middle agers when they want to do career changes or to start on a career. And one of the things we've got to do is to create a resume. So sometimes teens, when I was advising them for years and years, would talk to me about their fear of trying to do a resume because they've never had a job. And it's hard to do a resume showing your jobs if you've never had a job. And that is very true. However, our teens, by and large, are full of experiences. Like homeschool high schoolers generally have done volunteer work, they often have been involved in community organizations, things at church, sometimes in the homeschool community. They've often been involved in music or athletics or competitions of some kind or drama leagues. All of those things are experiences that show that they can do things that are attractive to an employer, like teamwork and responsibility and drive. And so, what we want to do is help our teens capture that on an experiential resume, not a job resume because they haven't had a job, but an experiential resume. So let's take a look at this one here. So for those who are watching on YouTube, there's a screenshot of a resume that comes from Seven Sisters download on how to do a resume for experiential resume format. It is also included in Seven Sisters Homeschool career exploration curriculum. So, all right, let's talk about this resume. So, as you can see, it starts with the student's name because, of course, an employer needs to know who they're looking at. So this is Sally Sue Smith's resume, and it starts out with her identifying information, how to get contact with Sally Sue. So her address is there to show she's a legit person. It gives her phone number and an email. So teens need to know that sometimes employers will contact by a phone call. So if they get a phone call, they need to make sure that they are checking their messages, in the voicemail, because sometimes teens, just don't do that anymore. So keep an eye on voicemail. Or sometimes employers send emails. So you put your email address as well. Generally, after that, identifying the contact information at the top of the resume, there will be a line that goes underneath that just kind of makes it look tidy. You don't have to put that line there, it just kind of tidies things up. Then on an experiential resume, you can list skills because teens, very often by high school, have some good skills. So here's some of Sally Sue's skills that she feels confident in sharing. So um, notice the terminology. So in a resume, it's not wordy, and you don't generally use the word I. You just kind of do partial sentences that are quick to read, because generally, if you're applying to a small business, the business owner or whoever's doing the hiring does not have a lot of time on their hands. If for some reason they're applying to some place that's large, sometimes grocery stores, um, they will run resumes through an applicant tracking system, which reads through the resume and chooses the applicants that should be looked at, by an in-person person. So the applicant tracking system doesn't need complete sentences. It just wants basic information. So here's some of Sally Sue's skills. Excellent communication in speaking and writing. Efficient in handling details. delights in teamwork and individual tasks. Let me highlight that. All right, Sally Sue is good at teamwork and working on her own. That needs to be there, however you want to say it. Being able to work on your own and work on a team is really, really important to put in there in the skills section. As long as you put the word teamwork and individual, it doesn't matter what the rest of the words are, but those need to be in there. Proficient in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Those are definitely bonuses for most jobs. um, Competent in reading and writing Spanish because she's been practicing Spanish and learning from maybe a teacher like our friend Kareem Murado, who does homeschool Spanish online. Okay, free call out there to our friend Kareem. Okay. All right. Next, we want to list Sally's experience. So notice that skills is bolded, but the words underneath, the description is not bolded, it's bulleted. Then experience is bolded, and we talk about not her job experience because she hasn't had a job yet, but she is doing volunteer work at the Smithville Homeschool Co-op, and here's the address, Smithville, Delaware, and the dates that she's been working there. So from 2011 to present, being a teaching assistant. So she's been doing it since she was like in third grade or something. So Sally's got a lot of experience there. And so what she's been doing is, and this is bulleted, assist teachers with grading, organize teaching materials, coach elementary students for classroom success. Note that these are not complete sentences. Each one of them starts with a present tense verb. Assist teachers, organize teaching materials, coach elementary students. So you don't have to have it in present tense, but it gives the resume version of an impression that this is ongoing. You can put assists, with the S on the end, organizes, coaches, elementary students, or assisted, organized, coached. As long as you keep the same verb tense, it doesn't matter which tense you choose. All right, next, now those are her big volunteer things. So we're going to go on to education. So that's bolded, education. And she goes to Smithville Academy, Smithville, Delaware, graduation expected June 2026. So Sally's going to graduate at the end of 2026 school year. Smithville Academy is the name that her parents have given their homeschool co-op. So you could also just put homeschool on there if you don't have a name for your homeschool, either the co-op or just your own homeschool. Just to put homeschool on there is fine. In this day and time, employers generally really like homeschoolers. So it's not a work against you if you just put the word homeschool there. So that's education. That's all you need. Then achievements and awards. So we're bolding that. And under the achievements and awards that Sally's done, is she's been in the Honor Society for Smithville Academy. That's her homeschool, co-op, umbrella school, whatever she's in, and the dates that she's been in the Honor Society. She was also in a poetry competition. So she was the top poet in the regional poetry competition in 2023 and the most valuable player in Smithville Academy soccer in 2023. So that's the homeschool co-op has a soccer team that they were competing with, and she had really worked hard and had the MVP there. So, teens will have different kind of achievements and awards. It doesn't matter if it's something woohoo. It can be small things, because what matters is you're showing that teens have some drive or some interest they're invested in. So if they don't have an award, they might have, developed, material for elementary kids at their school. Or maybe they've invested in, um, writing code for the computer. So it's a little bit beyond just their skill section. Is something that they feel really proud of. They can just put on there. So it doesn't have to be a big competition kind of thing. All right, and then lastly, we want to put a couple of references. Now, these days, in a traditional kind of resume, so a job resume, you can or not put the references. So sometimes people wait, they'll put references if required or on request. But on an experiential resume, we recommend that you go ahead and put references on there because they want to know that there are people that actually know you and would refer you. So if you're going to put a reference on a resume, let them know first, ask if it's okay, because nobody wants a surprise call saying, "Hey, we want to know if Sally Sue would be a good employee here at the grocery store." And you go like, "Is this a spam call?" So give the person a heads up. All right. So in this case, Sally's references were Melvin Murgatroyd, her pastor, and so she puts the organization he's associated with, Smithville Community Church, gives his Gmail address and his phone number. And then that she also has a favorite teacher there at the homeschool umbrella school or co-op, whatever she's in. And that's good old Bertha Butterfield. And so she puts Bertha Butterfield, who's a teacher at the Smithville Academy, gives Bertha Butterfield's Gmail address and the phone number so that they can be contacted either way. And so all of this fits on one page. You just need one page for that experiential resume. You don't want to go on and make it too long for a beginner, for a first job. Now, as they get more experiences, it's okay to do 2 pages in a lot of circumstances, but not for an experiential resume. Try to keep it short. Does that all make sense? Yeah. So we really, really love for teens to have some experiences, even if they're not going to, apply for a job right away, just to have the experience. Making experiential resume is a really, really good idea. They can do it as one of their writing assignments for the year. Isn't that a cool idea? Yeah, so their writing assignments that they need can be all kinds of things. And this is really a good writing assignment. So if they want to do a full career exploration, you can look at Seven Sisters Homeschool's career exploration textbook that this experiential resume is part of. And so that career exploration textbook covers a look at God in career exploration. So, and also for those who are doing reimbursable curriculum, we leave that chapter out because it can't have a religious component. But for the traditional version, we have a chapter on that. How to talk to role models about career ideas, looking at their own life experiences, all kind of brainstorming, recognizing their gifts and talents, their career values, clarifying their interests, doing some assessments, and then putting it all together and adding things like mission statements, cover letters, interview skills. So it's a nice, easygoing, comfortable, but fairly comprehensive guide. So let's also, if you just want to give here's a book, work on this. Seven Sisters has a downloadable PDF for the experiential resume. So it's successful experiential resume writing. And it's right there on Seven Sisters Homeschool's e-store. It's $3.99. It's a 5-page, like step-by-step guide you through that experiential resume. And for those who are living in states that will reimburse for homeschool curriculum, if you look in the store for the successful experiential resume writing guide and the round star, there's a red round star that shows that this is a version that is acceptable for reimbursement. So a lot of the states who will reimburse for curriculum, you can't have a religious component in that. So we have to have the same material with no religious wording in there. So in the Red Star versions, it's phrased so that there's no religious connotations in that, if that makes sense. Okay. All right. So I hope your teens will enjoy and feel proud of themselves when they do a resume, an experiential resume. They can look at that, they can put it in their portfolio, and they can use it when they go to apply for their first jobs. And I tell you what, when they're competing against teens that don't have a clue about resumes, they definitely look like they're ahead on the game. It makes it more attractive as far as getting called in for an interview. So let's get those resumes done. All right, this has been the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. Thanks to Seth Tillman for editing, and thanks to everybody for being here with us. Hey, listen, one last thing. Could you go right now to wherever you leave stars and a quick review? So if you're on Apple, go there to our podcast page. We would really love to have your stars and reviews. One, it makes us feel good, but two, if we get some busyness with some stars and reviews, Apple's more likely to serve us up for people who are homeschoolers and looking for high school information. So, we've been around so long, it kind of gets drifted down in the feed, and sometimes we don't get served up when people are searching. So if you'll do us a favor, and other people who need to know about Homeschool High School podcast, you can help us out by doing some stars and a review on your podcast service, and that will make us all very happy. So have a great day, and we will see you next week.